I found this interesting study, and I thought to myself, you know, when you read a study and you're like, duh, I could have told you that, and you wouldn't have had to spend millions of dollars to actually figure this out.
You were going to say that to them?
Well, you know, I wish I could have. So there's a study that came up that said that newborns could recognize voices that they're hearing while they're in the womb in the last trimester, especially their mother's voice. And I was like, hello, any pregnant woman could tell you that.
So how do you know that? Like, do they wave when you talk to them, or like, you know, kick?
They do kick, and I mean, I remember there were times when I'd be laying there and you'd see the little imprint of, you know, of a foot or an arm, or, you know, like, and so, yeah, they kind of would respond to voices a lot more as well. So I found, and I wish Andrea, who's our social media person, she's currently pregnant right now, she would say, yeah, totally. But this study, exactly. But this study goes even further. So they studied Dutch-speaking children who were born in Korea and adopted, and now speaking Dutch. And so they found that those children could make Korean sounds and could identify Korean sounds, even though they weren't raised in a Korean household and didn't speak Korean, because of their mother's voice and remembering that over the years.
Wow,
Isn't that fascinating?
Incredible. So basically you're saying that while they're in the womb, they actually could be learning already.
Yes.
They're not even born, but they're learning language.
And we've known that about music in the past, right? We've heard stories about how, you know, children in the womb can react to certain music. And then it goes on further to say that, you know, speaking or teaching children to speak other languages can also develop their minds. And, you know, it made me think, like, I've always had this desire to, like, speak another language. And, you know, and then,
Me too.
And I watch how my kids are able to pick up languages so much faster as you're younger. And so this kind of speaks into that, right, with this study.
That ability. Well, I just fast forwarded in my mind to the future, and I could literally see, like, parents playing, you know, these language learning tapes to their kids, trying to teach them other languages. And I
think it probably exists, because I mean, like, yes, it probably does exist, because you know, they already have those headphones that you could put over your belly, and you can, you know, play certain music to them. So I could just imagine that they would probably have tapes. And we're talking about tapes, and people are probably wondering what we're talking about back in the day, probably MP3s or whatever.
They used to use tapes.
Before I was born. That they would play, I'm pretty sure somewhere out there that exists, where they're playing different languages.
Shall we Google it
Why
right
don't you
now?
Facebook us at home, let us know if you know of these tapes or MP3s that exist.
Language teaching MP3s for babies in the womb. I want to know if that exists. You need to let us know. Whatever you're doing, stop, drop everything, and let us know if that exists.